a triple kill, but Soda Finn, he'll deny the plant. He sees 2 more kills. Oh my god! Soda Finn will find more!
7 seconds left, they gotta pick up the diffuser, but Tommy lines up both! Tommy with the 1v3!
Device misses shots, he's gonna have to go for the
Oh,
he pushes on through! Dylan is better!
Round 2, and there's another as Tyrant is finished off, and they all up for Bone!
Hello everyone and welcome to SCS Season 5. We're here with Week 4 of the group stage and playoffs are getting closer around the corner. Sticula and I are here to take you through the first matchup of the week. Sticula, how you doing?
Doing pretty good and well excited to see the first Chalet to be debuted here in the group stage for SCS. This is a map that I've been really eager to jump into to identify how the meta is going to go, which teams prefer certain bomb sites. All of those questions are going to be answered tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun to cast Chalet because, you know, everyone is still figuring out callouts for this map because you just haven't seen it at all in competitive play just yet. So it should be really fun to not only figure out those callouts along the way, but see how these teams lock this map down and actually see what sites become preferred, because we're going to see this map slowly develop over time. And as you all know, we have playoffs lurking right around the corner. We have a five weeks in our group stage, and of course we are on week 4. And as you can see here by our beautiful graphic, playoffs are coming up in week 6, so they're just 2 weeks away. And these teams, I mean, they're locking things down. The standings are slowly getting more solidified, and especially in this first matchup between Smoke Break and Down to Earth, for one of these teams, that being Down to Earth, this one really matters.
Yeah, you have to get this win, especially going forward into week 5, where you would be facing off with Team Mystic. We all know how Team Mystic plays. They've been, I would say, the strongest team so far. The points, an undefeated 6 wins, 0 losses, definitely backs that one up. And as you said, week 4, we're stepping into the dog days of the regular season, with those spots for playoffs getting closer and closer to being locked in. You can see here in Group A, where our first match of the night will take place, right around the middle of the pack. Smoke Break and D2E sit 3 points separating both of these teams. And for Down to Earth, you have to make this one count. If you don't get this win, there's a very real chance that you might not make it to playoffs at all.
Well, the great thing about the SCS format is there are 6 points up for grabs every single time you walk into another series. And because of that, if you can see on the standings in front of you, a win here for Down to Earth, an outright win, 2 decisive wins on each map tonight, that's 6 points in their hands, and that will jump them right up the leaderboard and right up to 2nd place in just the one series. And of course, this being the first matchup of the week, all these other teams, they still have their games to play. They still have their points to gain as well. But that really shows you how flexible this leaderboard can be, and we could really see some big changes in both of these groups at the last minute. The one thing we do know for certain, though, is that Team Mystic have pretty much locked in their playoff spot, but everyone else, with some weak performances and with some of those bottom teams in those groups, Down to Earth, Nemesis, Project Neo, Team Veil, if they just get a couple of good performances in these last couple of weeks, they will be well on their way to securing that playoff spot.
Hard to give Team Mystic a run for their money, and with the bounty of the day out of the way, let's go jump over towards the rosters to figure out who will be playing in the evening's first matchup. D2E, a familiar team for all of those who were tuned in for the last season's grand finals. Exile, Bone, Yusuke, Kojin, and Navozo sporting an average rating at 1.01. But look across the field to Smoke Break. They have exactly the same 1.001 rating. Both of these teams incredibly equal. Smoke Break, a fairly new roster made out of some of the former players that were on Wichita Wolves' most recent interpretation, and with a strong run in the Challenger League qualifiers behind them, they're looking to seal out their position today. Jace Wills, I really don't know if I can call this one.
Yeah, this one really could go both ways. I mean, we want to look at the performance from last week as well. They both split maps with their opponents. It was D2E, they took on Nemesis. They won 7-4 in the first map, lost 7-3 the second. Same thing goes for Smoke Break. They took on Aerial Arise, won 7-2 in the first game, lost 7-4 in the second. So coming off just last week, both of these teams, they're definitely, you know, at a mixed position in their overall lineups right now. And considering that Smoke Break, Tragical, as you can see there, the third place overall rated player on this Smoke Break team, is not going to be in the lobby tonight, replaced by Maxley, who is subbing in. That even adds another dimension of unknown to this matchup, and we can really see how it's going to shake up.
Yeah, I'm quite curious to see whether Maxilli is going to perform at his best today, or if he's going to be maybe the one misstep here that's going to cause Smoke Break to have a few issues. Here we go. As far as the votes are concerned, fairly split pack among the staff. I decided to go kind of the easy way out and just head up straight for a tie, given that I don't have the most experience for both of these two teams. Unfortunately, one of the things that I've been hearing more and more on Twitter, as well in my ear, is the fact that D2E are starting to kind of get tired of Siege. Unfortunately for all of us in talent, in league management, and in playing, sometimes you just gotta have a little bit of a break when Siege gets enough, and I don't know if that's gonna play a part tonight. Yeah, take a bit of a smoke break, but certainly I would hope that D2E, if they're gonna go away after the regular season, give them, their opponents tonight, one last good shot.
Yeah, and you know, coming into the season, D2E, they were really this mystery card, right? Because they're coming out of last season as the champions of season 4, and you know, that's a coveted position to say the least, but everyone expected them to kind of be at the bottom of the pack this season, just because the strength of competition has stepped up quite a bit. The level and just the big names that we now have in both of these groups, it's intimidating for even a team that came out on top in the previous season. And I think, you know, sitting at that 5th spot right now, a lot of those suspicions have been confirmed, but there are a few situations where, at least for me personally, D2E have defied my expectations a little bit. I mean, taking a map off a Challenger League team, Nemesis, last week, that is certainly impressive. And, you know, going against Smoke Break now, obviously the former Wichita Wolves roster, extremely strong in their own right as well. Crazy performances, you know, all across the Siege ecosystem and in the qualifiers and, you know, in these first few weeks of the season. And now that we're coming to a close here, the last couple of weeks to decide these playoff spots, it is more important now than ever for both of these teams to really come into their element and, you know, feel out that final spot.
Let's talk about where we might be feeling out the final spot. We'll have the map vetoes coming on through. I already sort of let the cat out of the bag. We have our first Chalet being picked by Smoke Break. Following that, D2E go to Villa, very familiar map from them with a lot of consistency rolling behind it. I think all of our viewers are at home are glad that we managed to step away from the tedium of Oregon Clubhouse and Cafe, where we seem to go every single week in and out.
Yeah, but like we were saying, I mean, Chalet being brought in here, I mean, that is as wild card as it could possibly get. I mean, we have no idea what to expect from both of these teams, nor do we really have an idea of how these bans could shake out. Of course, you know, we're going to get our default bans most likely, but this is as good of time as any for these teams to be trailblazers. There have not been a lot of competitive games on this map, so these two teams, and pretty good teams at that, they'll be slugging things out and looking to at least set their style for this matchup. The Thatcher ban coming out first, that's no surprise.
Yeah, I feel like we're mostly just going to see kind of what you would call comfort bans, just remove operators you don't like to deal with. We see a lot of Thatcher being removed, Ace being taken away. When we're looking upstairs towards the Master and Office bomb side, I've seen a lot of Ace being used, especially when you're talking about the wall just adjacent to the piano room. You need to get that deep side angle into Office, and in order to get that, you're not sending your Thermite. He'll be shot immediately by somebody playing behind the piano. So using Selma sort of serve as a bit of a middleman. You have a Pulse being eliminated here as well. I'm curious your take on that.
Yeah, the Pulse is interesting to see. Sure, this is a map with a lot of vertical play, but I'm wondering really, you know, there's so many missed opportunity there for ban. You're not going to ban any hard breach denial Malusi. That's not going to be taken off the board. So that is interesting, and I'm sure it is going to feed into at least one of these two team strategies. It's surprising as well because there isn't a lot of counter-stratting that can happen on this map quite yet. Maybe these two teams have been scrimming and they know that one team likes to bring out the pulse, but I don't think that's all that likely. So it's very possible that there are some, areas of this map that just pulse is just the end-all be-all for your attacks, but I really think that we could have seen a lot of different options there. But, curious to see how it's going to shake out because only time will tell. That mirror ban as the last one, of course, that is a bit more expected, and we all know how powerful the mirror can be when left on the board.
Especially given this bottom floor site, it's curious to see this one come through first in the rotation. We've had a lot of chatter, I will say, about which sites are good, and unfortunately, just because there's only been, I think, like 8 or 9 international matches of Chalet to go back and watch through, you don't have the largest opportunity to figure out which sites are good and the others are not so good. I think, personally, in my preference right now, Kitchen Dining has a lot of prominence, especially in the EUL match we saw between Trainhard and Natus Vincer. That was a fun game. I saw a lot of vertical play go through, so we might see sort of a Buck or a Sledge stepping up. For Down to Earth on this first composition, they don't really have an opportunity to bring in any of that vertical play for the flex up because they've decided to stick Yusuke on the Blackbeard.
Well, I suppose the Blackbeard is good on any single map. You're gonna bring the same amount of utility every time in the form of a bulletproof shield in front of your face. So you at least get the job done there, but in terms of other utility, you're missing out on, quite a bit of other potential. And already, actually, Yusuke is gonna get spawn peeked, I believe, and take a little bit of damage, actually losing out on one of his shields. So an early loss of the limited utility that Blackbeard has, not the way that Smoke Break wanted to start, or rather Down to Earth wanted to start this attack, but they'll be looking to get things underway after that. You've got Maxley here on the Vigil, over here in West Main, challenging onto the window there with the Zofia pushing on through, but eventually backing off that engagement along with TPA, who are going to start to play this one maybe a little bit closer to the chest here, backing off onto the site, but TPA is now locking down Mud, and this could be a seriously dangerous position if the attackers get a hold of this.
Seems to be the beginnings of a kind of formulated, I would just call the North take, where you're going to try to get open the red breach wall. Looks like it's already been opened just a little bit by the secondary breaching tool of Kojin. In fact, the only resource dedicated to opening up those hard walls that we have present in this composition. More drones will fly on through past the smoke break defenses here inside Wine Cellar. Morocco will go for the swing. Yusuke baiting it out a little bit with the knife, and Exile follows it up with a pre-fire. However, this shield sitting there just inside the blue tarps corridor certainly going to prevent them from getting much entrance here through. Watching the side wall at red is going to be the most important factor, I'd have to say. You're not going to easily start this one off just by walking in through that single door. However, for Down to Earth, even if they manage to use that well, there's still the idea that Vigil, he's out on the flank, and he could seriously cause a problem here. Lucky, though, Navoso providing the coverage with the Nomad.
I mean, here's the thing. We're not seeing there's no hard breacher in this lineup. That is not even something we've noted yet, and as a result, D2E, they're just going to send it on through. They've got map control despite the Toxic Babes going down, and the diffuser has now hit the floor. Exile, he's going to get taken down by Maxley there, but actually a trade will go out. Bone picking up one, now a second. TPA will get a double kill as well, now alone in a 1v2, but Kojin will shut that quickly on down. The full send through the single Wine Cellar door was apparently all that D2E needed to secure the round. A shocking way to take that bomb site, but it worked out.
I think that was just mostly D2E covering all their bases. They had the flank watch under control, the Vigil, who served as an uncertainty for the defense, ultimately didn't really provide his team terribly much, and D2E knew that if they get the plant down, the defense can't just sit and wait anymore. They have to actively make a move, push back to the bomb site, and D2E cut right through everyone. Even though it did come pretty close, there was so much uncertainty for the defense surrounding which angles the attackers were going to be. Were they outside in the boiler, hiding behind the hard wall? Were they prone in some random corner? In the moments like that during the clutch, you don't have the hugest opportunity to kind of, have a premonition and see ahead. We're not mind readers here as far as the players go, and so you kind of just have to play that one by ear and see how it's going to go. For Smoke Break, with an unsuccessful first round, D2E opened up the scoreboard, but SB are going to return here immediately, wanting to maybe answer the question of, is this bomb site good, or will this be another round in the column of the offense?
Yeah, going back to the same bomb site twice in a row is always a question as to why you're doing that, given the, round prior and the result that you had, and especially on this map, given that it's so unknown to these teams and these players. Why not go upstairs to Master and Office and try your hand at that one, or why not try another bomb site? But regardless, Smoke Break, they are going to try their hand at this one more time, and they'll be looking to, I guess, deny the similar onslaught that D2E just slammed down towards the wine cellar last time. There is a little bit of a roam over here in the big garage. That's going to be Maxley, who tempted fate for just a moment, but will quickly back on off, realizing that the Goyo should probably just be holding down wine instead. This time, a little bit of a change in the lineup coming out from Down to Earth. We are seeing the Maverick come into play from Yusuke. The Blackbeard will no longer be a factor.
I have to say, I don't know if the Blackbeard really was the largest factor in the previous round. For Kojin, they try to go for the hard breach here. It looks like the Mute Jammer is standing in the way, but the table there won't provide much opposition. We actually have the Maverick Torch being used with the Mute Jammer gone. Secondary breach successful. I like the way that Smoke Break have this oriented, though. With the Vulcan shield close, you can't just sprint on through immediately. We could see Smoke Break detonate that and now do Down to Earth, especially if they're trying to go for an immediate flood into the objective. That's going to really get them desynced, and it's going to be quite frustrating. I think it also serves as a helpful point that you can defend for Smoke Break, who can swing out onto that bridge. It's not totally the end of the world for the attackers. Their angle doesn't constitute much advantage. With the slits in that shield being open, you might be able to use it well. We won't have to answer that question, though, as the shield's broken. The fire will spread all throughout the drinks corridor right there as all of the soft destruction gets used. However, an ADS is identified. Down to Earth, I would say, moving at a bit of a slower pace in the previous round. However, given that Smoke Break have yet to accumulate the opening frag, things could change in a matter of moments.
Yeah, this is going slowly. It's at least a bit more methodical than last time, but I'm loving this setup from D2E here. They have the crossfire they need. They've got the Maverick trick opening up that wall to the big garage side. They've got the red wall opened up with that secondary gadget, but it doesn't seem to matter. Smoke Break are just going to collect some frags. Morocco whipping out the pistol and getting another. That's both Exile and Yusuke dead and gone, and the wall has not successfully been opened. The Maverick trick having failed. Morocco now picking up another kill. This one onto Novozo. That's Bone and Kojin left in a 2v5 situation. They lost all the manpower that they really needed to get this full send. Bone's gonna find one, but that is simply not going to matter. TPA, again, a double kill in this round, but this time it is Smoke Break who comes out on top.
Much better played, and I think the setup helped them so. The blue shield never got cleared, and perhaps it was the hard breaching effort. I'm not really sure where the hiccup was there to allow the tarp shield to persevere. I think as far as the basement site is confirmed, blue is sort of going to be the pixel that you would see on Cafe, for example. That one bit of utility that you must clear if you're going to go for a wine cellar take. Otherwise, you can't make any progress. We saw that exactly go down. Again, TPA managed to secure the opening frag, and he didn't just immediately die afterwards. He went on to get a second. The rest of his team were all contributing, and D2E weren't ever able to really wrench the man advantage back in their favor, and they didn't have enough site control to make up for it either. After that, now with basement locked away, we'll get our second look at what another bomb site on this map might look like: kitchen and dining. So I wonder if we're going to have the kind of rhyme and reason. The vertical hold has started to see a little bit more prevalence. So far for Smoke Break, they won't bring an Aruni, which is an operator that has seen, I would say, kind of a sort of a decision to be made as far as Chalet is considered. Some teams really love the Aruni. She can sort of serve, I said the other day, as kind of a bootleg nomad for the defense in their favor. You set up one of those Aruni gates, and the attackers have to decide if they're going to decide to open it, use their utility to clear it, or if they're going to go another route.
Well, not only that, Sticula, we're not seeing any form of projectile denial. There's no Wamai, no Jaeger either, so that is a big component of your normal defense that's now missing from Smoke Break. Instead, they're opting for 3 aggressive and often roam-heavy operators. That's going to be Maxily on the Vigil, TPA on the Malusi, and Morocco on the Mozzie. You've got the mute as well, so you've got a lot of that information denial that generally comes into effect when you want to go with those extended vertical holds. But that lack of projectile denial could really come to bite Smoke Break in the back here. For Maxily, they're just going to try to get aggressive early on, and Yusuke is going to shut that down, but the, bulletproof shield is the only reason that Yusuke was able to win out that engagement, and I think Maxily definitely not happy about that one.
Always frustrating to lose one of those battles only because the crutch of the shield is being used. Morocco looks to secure a refrag. Nitro goes on by to the Solarium windows, but doesn't manage to net much so far. The window repel, a real daunting prospect. I think there's still the opening down there in the garage wall, which could serve as an opportunity to double down on what Maxily had done in his earlier play and send a second player out through that wall to try and disrupt the vertical play and the repel that we see oncoming. Drone has to be very wary of the pest there, but so far Smoke Break, I would say they've been successful in the vertical hold. It's ground down to Earth's pace to a real halt, and it still seems like they've yet to make up for it on time. We'll see an opening made in the wall. Drones roll on by. Minute and 20, the timing isn't the end of the world. There's plenty of soft destruction for Exile and Bone. They can open up the vertical process, but there needs to be a lot of fluidity for the time that they have left, because any mistakes that they made, any Smoke Break defenders who come up on the flank, and compounding that, Yusuke already losing one of his shields, you don't have a whole lot of advantages here, but now with Maxily and Twizzler meeting their deaths, 5-on-3, I think Down to Earth might be able to make this one happen.
Yeah, with the vertical play completely established, the only step they need to do next is that transition onto the bomb site itself. Having the kitchen hatched open wide is certainly going to help that endeavor, and as Exile pops that deployable shield, they really have their way of this bomb site. All of these anchors have been forced away. Only one is tucking closely behind the kitchen counter. A dangerous position, as Bone will make certain, cutting down Faded for those last few moments. There will be another kill. Kojin will fall off the board, and TPA will now find another. That's Novozo, who will no longer be in this fight. So Smoke Break are pulling this one back, but holding down this bomb site has really seemed to be now a near impossibility with all the vertical play established, and now with Exile actually pushing on through. Exile will pick up that kill onto TPA, and Bone coming in through from Trophy will pick up the last kill onto Morocco. Down to Earth, they continue the back and forth pattern. They'll take the round.
Neither team managing to secure a solid lead, and I wouldn't imagine much less for Chalet on game day. It's a map with a lot of uncertainty, and so it's hard to establish where the clear patterns are. I think for a long time, we're not going to be able to say, one side is stronger than the other, even though Siege conventionally does favor the defense. So far, the story has been Down to Earth in the lead. I think something to always keep in mind as far as this map, it's Smoke Break's pick, so there's obviously a reason why they want to go here. Maybe it's to give us a little bit more enjoyment in the casting booth, to look at a map that we don't know very much about. The Blackbeard seems to be a real idea that D2E are flirting with, bringing him some rounds. He was very successful in the previous, I have to say, denying Smoke Break that opening battle. And Maxily, for the sub on the roster, you kind of have to let him play how he's comfortable. And unfortunately, him being comfortable led to an over-aggressive moment, and he just simply didn't know that he was going to run out and encounter a man with a shield on his gun.
Yeah, there were a couple of those unfortunate moments. We saw the aggressive play. That was really the plan, it seemed, for Smoke Break. Not only the run out that you mentioned, Sticula, but the play from TPA trying to rotate up the library stairs, but caught out by the air jabs that D2E have done a great job of just locking down their flanks and making sure that they really hold down this aggressive roam. And a roam on an unfamiliar map, unfamiliar territory for both of these teams can usually be extremely potent, so it's good to see that D2E are doing a nice job in shutting that down. For Smoke Break, though, they will be continuing to shift things around, and they're heading right upstairs to now Master and Office. So we're continuing to see these new setups and to see how they want to approach this one. Maxley now on the Jaeger rather than the Vigil, also going for that aggressive play, but as far as this lineup goes, it looks like to be a lot more of an anchor-heavy lineup. You're bringing out the Goyo again, you've got your Valkyrie and your Kaid to boot.
A little bit more comfortable to play more of an anchor setup with a newer map. You're able to kind of decide where the engagements happen, and you don't always have to be worried about which map control is being held, and if you die, what that might give up to Down to Earth for the smoke break point of view. A little bit of a fall off here. So as far as the setup, 3-man strong lineup on the second floor, but a little bit of a roam contingent below. Perhaps Smoke Break looking to burn out a little bit of time, find a couple drones, and otherwise pester Down to Earth to stall their progress. We saw the effectiveness that had in round number 2. Number 3, not so much, but still always needing to keep in mind if you get slowed down by the defense, that's just more time you're going to have to make up when it comes down to the execute.
Well, the execute, it seems... I'm not sure what D2E have planned right now. They're doing some vertical from below here in Trophy, and now they're working their way up towards Solarium. You've got Exile on the Solarium windows, and now you've got Kojin actually getting boots on the ground. Faded, ooh, a nice Valkyrie cam here from TPA. So they've got perfect vision of this, and Twizzler using that intel, he'll collect a nice shot there onto Exile, as Exile will recognize that brilliance here too. Twizzler is the lone player actually in Master itself, really just waiting for some sort of push to come through, a push that appears to be focused on this north side, now that Bone is joining the team, and Navozo will be there as well. Yusuke, the only player not a part of the Solarium trio, will be cut on down by Maxley there, and now Smokebreak are poised in a really good position to run away with this. Bone, though, a quick answer, the over-aggressive Maxley will get punished again.
So close here, he's tucked up right at the wall. Oh, but Bone will go down. A second for Twizzler. He's close up, and he'll get Kojin too. Add him to the tally for the Cades. Picks in that round. Smoke Break picking apart a crumbling Down to Earth, and the Cade with the AUG. Who would have think he would beat the Zofia and the Capital swinging wide on that wall and give his team an opportunity to rear up back to equal going next to round 5. We'll get to see Smokebreak go back to Wine Cellar. And the one thing that's on my mind here is if Smokebreak are going to continue to play the Goyo, bring intel, a little bit of entry denial with the smoke and Jaeger, or if in maybe a later composition, so should we see overtime, or if they lose this and we go back to Wine Cellar in the next round. I wonder if Wamai will be seen, Jonah, because we've had a lot of these rounds just be determined by the placement of the shields, the bulletproof utility, and if the attackers are successful in clearing that, or if it gets stopped by the catcher operators.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, because as we noted in a couple of rounds ago, the entire defensive setup of Smokebreak in Wine, it hinged on those shields. Like, that's pretty much what the setup was. You had 2 shields backed by Pillar, you had 1 by the Blue Hall. That was pretty much the extent of this hold, and without multiple of those projectile denial operators, the Jaeger, the Wamai, and the Aruni respectively, that's a setup that is going to be hard to conduct and hold for any period of time once the attacking team realizes what they're dealing with. But there's one other thing I do want to bring up here, and that's the D2E attacks that we're seeing. It's reasonable to expect, and it's not surprising that these attacks are looking rather underdeveloped because, again, a new map, a new meta for these teams to get used to. But the attacks we've seen from D2E on this bomb site have been very one-dimensional. It's been bunch up outside Wine Cellar, hope we can get open the red wall, hope we can get open that main wall into Wine Cellar, and just kind of go from there. The first time, it worked out even without getting those walls open, just a full send in through the doorway. But the second time, Smokebreak were ready for that, and despite D2E trying to get those walls open, they tried to go through that extra steps in their checklist to get that crossfire established. Yusuke was not able to open up the wall at the end of the day. The Maverick trick failed, and Yusuke died before it could be completed. I think, given the way this site is set up, if those two walls can get open, attacking teams should have a field day on this bomb site. There's no possible flanks because the one staircase you can get through is going to be watched by drones, and as we can see here, Novozo is going to put an air jab down. So as long as D2E can get through those default steps of getting those two walls open, this should be a relatively easy execute.
Looking above, Morocco moving around, hoping that he can maybe catch a few members of Down to Earth off guard. Minute and 30. We're always careful to watch what goes down at the 90-second mark. So far, I think Morocco has managed to evade being detected by drones, not hearing the faint beep of air jabs to block his progress. But Down to Earth have played this west main window angle for a lot of these rounds. You can hear the air jab, but right at the moment that Morocco begins to peak, Nomad goes off cams and Novozo loses the opportunity to collect on this frag. Now that allows smoke break as far as Morocco, the flank, can be concerned. He's moved past the first net of coverage, and now for Down to Earth kind of exists to mock them, to let Down to Earth know that he's on the flank. He could constantly at any moment come down and uproot what has gone down here, and there's a vertical angle there above, but the hatch, this could be the real sticking point. If Morocco's able to shut down the execute, they might never be able to get through this wall. Kojin losing so much HP. There we go, Novozo, he moves in, avenges the HP ripped away from the Capital, but the man advantage is there for Down to Earth. They've got 30 seconds to make their play, to charge on through and to gain entry, but Evil Eye still persist inside of the A site, and you've got a smoke canister left there for Faded. With TPA running the Maestro, that could be a real problem, but Faded, he's found two more inside the blue hall. One will go down, two players, DBNO and Exile dies to the Nitro. We'll have to see a huge play. 10 seconds to move forward. Faded will find one, but it's only Novozo and Kojin. Diffuser for the Capital, but he has to find the frag. He'll get him. A huge pick with the handgun. The plant needs to be stopped, and they'll get the DBNO. A huge clutch play. The Cade, he'll come through again. 2 rounds in a row.
God, what a round. That one was ridiculous. Now, there were so many things that happened there. We had two of the D2E attackers. They realized that the vertical play was being held by Morocco. A great read of the situation. They stopped what they were doing, and they pushed out into dining and dealt with Morocco accordingly. Excellent job. That certainly saved the round. What they did next was interesting and failed miserably. It was rotating over to the blue hall. They pushed down the blue stairs. They started to push up towards Snowmobile Garage, and they really couldn't do much. They both got downed immediately. I think it was a swing from Maxley in blue 90 to get those downs, and that was the turning point. From there, it was 2 attackers remaining still in Wine Cellar. They had control of the site, but there was simply no time to get the plant down. 000s, and an excellent play from Twizzler to shut that down and get that clutch.
Wonder what we might see here for round 6 with Barn Gaming finally being shown. I watched a Reaper Ian video a while back about the bounty of what this site could look like. It's all about the vertical hold. As far as extensions are concerned, you want to make sure that you never lose control of the library, because that is key to denying a gaming plant. And so, with that in mind, you also need to make sure that you hold off the northeastern push. I think for Down to Earth, it sort of depends on if they're going to accept that's how Smokebreak are going to defend this, and they're going to look to kind of respond blow for blow and going about the direct opposite take, or if this is going to be kind of more of a sensible push and they might look to ignore it. For the repels that we've got over here on the Solarium windows, it looks like more of the former. We'll have kind of the acknowledgement of the setup and Down to Earth looking to deny things. They're going to meet some trouble, however. We already know there's barricades put down. Morocco likely to have a couple of pests as well, but look at this. Maxilli certainly made his impact. Exile wondering about the possibility of the Vigil perhaps jumping out from the garage door as he had done in a previous round, though through the wall in that time. But Maxilli, he's not down there.
Still the clear going through. You've got the drones now pushing in through library, and TPA looks to be the lone player responsible for holding this down. Dangerous, to say the least, as now the sandwich window has been opened wide, as has the main window there on the library balcony. And with a couple of asphyxiating bolts sent down range from Kojin, I'm assuming in just a moment, TPA will likely need to rotate away. But for now, simply just swinging back and forth, comfortable to maintain this hold. But finally, the fire goes down range and TPA will fall back. Still though, deployable shield at the top of the library staircase for the Jaeger to hold down indefinitely. One other player upstairs, the player now that Bone is challenging, pushing in from this office side, but again is having some difficulty with this. A minute 30 have now been burned off the clock, and D2E, they really haven't gotten much done here. Faded is also doing a great job playing vertical to assist the play of Maxley and TPA. Maxley actually retaking library here. Kojin now actually jumping in the sandwich window, could be in a perfect position to go for this swing once the drone gets the position of the Vigil. But of course, it's a Vigil and you can't see him. Navozo gets one, Maxley finally gets another. That's Yusuke. Kojin looks for the trade, but it's Bone on the piano push who secures it instead. Finally, the vertical play has now been secured by D2E, and with 50 seconds left, now they gotta get on this bomb site.
Oh, look at this from Morocco. He's being chased back and forth, though his Nitro will find Navozo. Exile has an instant and immediate response. Full HP, down to earth, with plenty of utility to make their way on through, and now it's just Morocco for a sliver of HP. No Nitro in pocket, and all by his lonesome. 20 seconds. Marks come through. It seems there's still some intel that perseveres upstairs inside or nearby at library. They've got to figure out eventually that he's stuck here in this corner. As Kojin will move on by, he'll begin the process of putting the case down on the ground, but looked like Bone managed to just find the shoulder or arm or elbow of Morocco there, eliminating him and making sure this clutch didn't go any other way.
Yeah, excellent work there from D2E, really making use of the time, honestly. They were slow, I'd say, on the vertical clear, as is expected with an unfamiliar vertical clear. But once they got it done, they wasted no time to actually just clear out the bomb site. And Smoke Break didn't have much in the way of an on-site defense to really speak of. And I guess that's the problem with this bomb site. It's so hard to lock down. You've got that stock room in between the two bomb sites that you can, I guess, put a player in, but given that all the walls around it can be destroyed with a good bit of soft destruction and can just simply be wall banged, that's not a sustainable position at the end of the day, something that I believe Morocco eventually realized there. But that half, it really was good to see that Smoke Break were willing to change up the bomb sites. We saw all 4 bomb sites. Mostly we saw Wine and Snowmobile Garage, which we're going to see here first in round 7. But we saw Kitchen, we saw Master, and we saw Bar as well. All of the bomb sites had their different elements where both of these teams had their struggles. But at the end of the day, a 3-3 split on that first half. Honestly, just what you like to see.
Yeah, it's not always the opportunity you get every single match in competitive Rainbow Six to look at all the sites, and I think that's most important for Chalet, where us casters, all the players who after this match are going to look back on it and they're going to do their VOD review, and also for the fans at home who are trying to learn how Chalet is going to function in a competitive environment. It's good to have their full foray, and we're only just through the first half. We could see maybe each site play twice. Personally, my hope is that we see a little bit more in terms of gaming, because I feel like there's still a lot left to explore as far as what you can do with the vertical extension and horizontally holding all the way throughout the top floor. It feels like for Bar and Gaming, you have to hold almost the whole map minus the basement, and even then, sometimes the attack can use the basement as sort of that bypass route to come up and unsettle you. For the basement attacks, we have seen in almost each and every one of these rounds when it was D2E who picked up the attack to go for a sort of backside wine cellar take. Though, in the most latest round, they actually did, very lately, I will say, kind of appropriate a split take, where they tried to move down from blue, though, Jay-Z, I think it was a little bit too hasty to call it a proper split take, and, you know, maybe if Smoke Break realized this, they could come up with something that has a little bit more gumption and confidence behind it.
Well, speaking of, we're already seeing a difference between these two attacks. D2E, on their approach, they sent it right on into West Main Lobby and got that pressure going in the big garage and on the wine cellar wall accordingly. This time, Smoke Break, they're going through this one a lot more methodically. They went for the top-down clear, cleared out all of that top floor starting from that master side, and now working their way to this first floor. they're going to begin some vertical play. Now, all this vertical play focused right now on the snowmobile garage, a little bit, of course, on the wine cellar as well, now that Kojin has been forced back. An excellent job here from Smokebreak, already forcing out defenders from these anchor positions and these deployable shields that we saw Smokebreak themselves holding just a couple of rounds prior. They've now starting to work their way down these stairs here. The blue stairs is the focus, as TPA is going to drone the rest of the team in, but the vertical pressure is still being applied to ensure that D2E can't get quite comfortable. Faded looking on through the connector hatch here, trying to cut off anyone going for a rotation here, but all 5 defenders still comfortably on this bomb site, and everyone in this lobby still alive now that we near that 30-second mark.
Bit of explosive use. Looks like Smokebreak for the remaining half a minute they have. We're going to try to get some hard breach work done and open up that main wall. That could be the big contingency. You can see Boney flexes away from his position, knowing that the pressure, it's beginning to mount more and more. But Yusuke, SMG-11 in hand, will gun down Maxilli, removing the Nomad. However, for Smokebreak, they've still got all their powerful guns up and in the arms, waiting. Faded for the plants. Kojin sent down. Faded choking on the toxic canister, though luckily his team has the coverage. And that smoke won't be the difference maker that denies Smokebreak from this round. A proper split take and a win on the board in the first attack. Smokebreak for their map looking good on the bottom floor objective.
Well, a split take for sure, but a take of a different bomb site than we've seen so far tonight. That was a full attack on Snowmobile Garage instead. They got the wall open, they got the vertical play established, they put somebody down the main stairs, down the blue stairs. All of that pressure, the perfect formula to prevent any defender from rotating to stop the plant. You couldn't rotate from connector because the vertical play was there, and you couldn't rotate from blue because 2 players, TPA and Twizzler, were on the coverage, pushing down the blue stairs as well. Excellent job from Smokebreak all around, going through their checklist perfectly and getting all of their steps done. As a defensive team, you look at that round and you go, what in the world are we supposed to do there? Well, it would have been helpful had, one of the toxic babes connected and that plant been stopped a bit earlier. The rotation between the 2 bomb sites, as we can see here, this soft wall that's left unreinforced, it wasn't used. There was a bit of a disconnect there. I'm not sure if we missed it or if Down to Earth just didn't swing out from there and go for that play, but regardless, you gotta find some way to establish that 3rd rotation because it is going to be effortless for Smokebreak to cover the rotation from blue and the rotation from connector, as I just described. That 3rd and final rotation through that wall between the sites, it can work if you don't have any utility there, but as Twizzler proved, if you have someone covering that swing, there's no way you can actually get it done. You need something there, whether that's a deployable shield, a mirror window. Obviously, that's been banned out, but something there was missing. But honestly, I just can't put my finger on it quite yet. It was an excellent attack, and D2E, they just were shut down at every possible chance at a retake.
Part of my mind wonders for Smokebreak if it was the vertical play that had shut down the ability to rotate, because the main area of the lobby and fireplace is all wooden floors. One rotate you might be able to spot immediately here is Bone, but he won't live long to be able to defend the second, or rather first floor from an entry. Smokebreak quick on it, and TPA having a phenomenal first 8 rounds, already striking hot at 10-4. With Bone gone, this is already looking, I would say, a little bit worse than what we had in the previous round, because Smokebreak, they did all the fundamentals of Siege in establishing their execute, defining their identity and where they wanted to push, but they never had the opening kill so early on to be able to back it. I think the one key problem that might be generated here in stopping Smokebreak for this play might be the deployable shield that we have inside of blue. But Kojin responds excellently, and for TPA, who I just said was having a good game, he doesn't get too much of a response, but Twizzler, he saves the day, and Maxilli, he picks one off as well with the shield and blue gone. It won't be anything to stop them, and Exile getting too antsy around the corner, taking a little bit of flame damage. Oh my! Exile, the aggression was warranted. He'll get Maxilli resuming this round and making it look like Down to Earth might just have one little bit more of a chance for Smokebreak. 3-2, low HP for Exile and Kojin, but both of them, we've seen them in the clutch before, and we certainly know what they can make happen.
Yeah, Smoke Break, they really got to play together here more than ever. Twizzler doesn't seem to mind. The solo push down the blue stairs will net the kill onto Exile. That's Kojin left alone, now in a 1v3. He knows where Twizzler is pushing from, but it doesn't seem to matter. Nice swing there from Twiz and a nice pre-fire to give him the kill and to give Smoke Break the round. 2 impressive attacks so far. Excellent work here on Chalet.
I think one point I definitely have to bring up here is we were at a similar point of view between both of these 2 first halves. It was basement twice in a row. In the first round, Down to Earth managed to come off with a victory, completely shutting down what Smoke Break had liked to hold, but afterwards, there was somewhat of a response that had gone through. What had happened was Smoke Break completely switched up their defense, they did everything right, and it was a win. But this has been not the same collision course. 2 attacks, 2 strong attacks, and 2 now in a row, moving Smoke Break to the doorstep of match point with a lot of momentum building behind them on their match point. And Jonah, I have to say, the way that they're smothering Down to Earth, denying these rotations and winning a whole lot of the crucial gunfights, Down to Earth can't put a stop to it, as we've seen yet.
Yeah, the really great thing that we've seen, I think, has been the map control from Smoke Break. And that's one thing that D2E weren't as focused on their attacking side. They did skip a couple of steps in terms of the roam clear and that top-down clear. I got to admit, though, I don't think that it mattered that much for D2E because the attacks that they chose to actually go through with, they didn't really need to worry about their flanks all that much, and they did an excellent job at covering what they needed to cover. Now, for Smoke Break's sake, these attacks, they have looked just as textbook as it could possibly get. It's not like we're seeing a big rush or a full send through a doorway. I love the way they're approaching this. They're running through their checklist, and they are, ticking those marks excellently. This time around, they're going to have, an equal amount of utility to encounter. You've got a double Vulcan shield set up in the piano to bathroom doorway, and actually a shield in the tub itself. Novozo is locking this down, 2 ADSs to support that position. An interesting one for sure, no doubt, with the focus of holding off any north side push that could eventually come through and a take on the master side. But for now, Smoke Break, they're definitely approaching from the south instead. They could be tempting that office plant instead, pressuring in from fireplace.
So many shields will always be thinking about what soft destruction Smoke Break have in order to clear them. One deployable we have already talked about inside the tub, and as well a little bit of a defensive bunker established close at the bathroom door that feeds into piano. The hard breach is swiftly done and the castle barricade removed, so Exile a little bit more shaky now as he knows that the door is open. We'll see him try to swing out for it. Looked like the sledge had just been on the other side, or rather faded as the Habana, but not going down. TPA nearly misses it 1 second better on the timing, and he might have found that, but Exile still plays expertly close at the half wall. With Faded gone, you've lost a set of those flashbangs, and all of your hard breach, though already with the platform, or rather the main breach wall open. I don't know if it's the end of the world for Smoke Break, but this is not so confident a start as we had seen in those previous 2 rounds, needing a little bit more something in their corner. I think one lacking point is the issue of the vertical play. There's not much open in the floor of office. It could be swinging around the corner, the arm tagged up, and the safety, it isn't there. Twizzler will get boned. Yusuke, though, it's Novozo who falls as well, and all of a sudden, this round, which looked like a troubling start for Smoke Break, has been whipped around in miraculous fashion. Yusuke's got a long battle to contest the 1.5 for the UMP. We know what it can do all across the bomb site, but TPA shuts down Kojin without a second thought. Toxic Canister chokes the life out of TPA, and Yusuke will find one into the clutch. Diffuser down, Twizzler needs to rotate.
Yusuke going for the early challenge. Actually snuck up here in Library Hall, and Twizzler's going to have to contest this. The swing is there. The players will skirmish, and no, Twizzler jumps on through and wins that gunfight. How in the world did that just happen? SMG in hand, goes for the vault and just slams him. Wow. Impressive stuff there to close things out from Twizzler. A shocking turn of events, and that's going to put Smoke Break on match point.
Ooh, really getting the blood pumping here for Smoke Break in their second half. 3 in a row, looking for one more to get that flawless attacking performance and, well, really shut it down before we could see what the full breadth of the D2E strat book might look like. In the earlier stages of this game, it was, a little bit of basement, kind of the site that saw the most focus, but it was being rotated. Smoke Break were going from site to site, showing what they had to bring on all of the different objectives. So far, I don't think Down to Earth look like they have that same flexibility. They want to go with what they know, and it's been basement or it's been office for the 4 rounds here on Chalet in the first map of the night. And we always talk about this. I think it's me, you, and Chief that debate the subject the most. What's the value of repeating the objectives? I don't know if it's working for D2E so far with 3 losses, no meat on their bones as far as the defenses of Chalet are really concerned.
Well, this site has definitely looked the most promising for them. That last round was one of the closer defensive performances from them, but the one thing that they did well in that round was aggress, right? They had a lot of more aggressive plays than I would have normally expected. Exile swinging out there onto the main balcony, just going for the aggressive play, and it actually worked. It resulted in the death of Faded, your lone hard breacher in that previous round, and was certainly what gave D2E, at least initially, the upper hand, but that was quickly something that Smoke Break remedied. As Exile soon discovered, holding here in office is very dangerous once both the balcony is being pressured and the half wall from heaven. And it seems that Smoke Break, they just won their gunfights from there on out, and there's no reason to change up their attacking plan, I suppose. We can see them grouping up and bunching up for a similar approach. They're droning out this first floor just to make sure they're not dealing with any pesky roamers, and as those suspicions are confirmed, they'll notice that all 5 defenders are tucked on this bomb site, waiting for an execute to come on through.
An important battle to go down here as the Cade stares through the floor. Ooh, it's so close for TPA. Exile taking a hell of a lot of damage trying to play vertically here at the half wall, but I mean, Exile, he's just keen on continuing to look downwards. He needs to dodge out of the way before the X-Kairos detonate. Will make good time, though, still keeping a keen, watchful eye out through onto the balcony. Faded having nearly used all of his breaching tools. TPA will use a breaching round from the launcher below. Tries to unsettle Exile. I'm surprised that the Cade hadn't died from that, considering he was on so little HP, and this looks like the moment of hope or desperation for Exile. If he swings, if he finds Faded, he could go big, but he's on such little HP, he knows that he has to make something happen. 1 for 1 there as the kills are exchanged between both squads. TPA on a little HP, but Exile has no more. Faded shutting him down from K9 as Down to Earth continue to swing right into the waiting arms of Smoke Break, who have a minute and 5, a 2-man up for Yusuke, low HP. Bone has to be the one to carry this across the line. So many clutch performances we've seen from him in the past that this has got to be another one of those highlights.
Bone now going for the shots. Ooh, a good long range one there towards Heaven on the breach. He'll secure the kill on a TPA, but that is not going to stop the plant from going down. Faded, sticking it, getting it through. Yusuke will pick up another kill in the meantime, and now that means we are into a 2v2 situation. Bone now on the swing. Doesn't matter though as Faded gets one. Bone will secure the trade, but that leaves Twizzler again in the 1v1 clutch situation. Bone on so low HP. Twizzler has the extreme advantage here as Bone now goes on the hunt. He knows or suspects that Twizzler is in library, correctly so, but Twizzler is playing this quite passively, waiting for Bone to make the move. They knew where Bone was the entire time. They had a drone on that position. Bone now going for the Hail Mary strat, just sticking that diffuser, or at least teasing it, to hope that he can get it done, but simply no chance at this point. Even the nade is not going to stop Twizzler from just walking across, solidifying the round and giving Smoke Break that decisive 3-point win.
That's a real heartbreaker there, and we already established the D2E, they needed the points from this. A definitive loss is crushing, and for their sake, I'm hoping that Villa can be the comeback territory for them, that they can recover things and start to, take this vehicle in another direction. But that is a fairly decisive result in 4 attack wins. out of the gate, I would have figured Chalet probably would have given a little bit more leniency towards the defense, but Smoke Break, their coordination was on top of things. And that's usually something we put in the corner of D2E, not the CL Qual squadron.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at those attacks, just simply, even if you took away the defense and you just looked at a dry run of both the Smoke Break approach and the D2E approach, I think you could honestly have correctly predicted the victor of this first map. It was clear from the get-go that these attacks were a stark contrast to one another. D2E, they really went with it seemed that they didn't quite have a more composed and drawn out approach. They really went with the let's just bunch up at one entrance, open up the breach, and hope we find kills. Now, that approach, it worked 3 rounds, so that is something, but it just didn't work out enough to give them the edge that they needed. And on these new maps, really the attacking side, that is where the difference is made. Generally, Siege is a defensive-sided game, right? And if you're on a new map, completely unfamiliar territory, if you can just sit behind a corner and wait for the attackers, that is generally going to be considered the advantageous position. But Smoke Break, they clearly worked out those attacks well, and they really made D2E pay.
This looks like a very rehearsed Smoke Break, just bringing their best play to the forefront. I love the way that we saw that final round, the one-on-one play out. The Sledge knew that, he didn't need to peek. He had no business to. There were so many drones. That's got to be frustrating for Bone, who in that clutch had hit just 2 fantastic shots. He made it winnable for his team and nearly pulled them all the way through just to be denied an opportunity to even take that final fight because the clock was ticking, man, and he just could not get it through, and it doesn't lend themselves any longer. No more rope to give away on Chalet, and, it's kind of a heartbreaker because, Jonah, D2E, there are... Remember how well they played in the grand finals last season. Who wouldn't want to see them in playoffs? That's one of the most important storylines we're always telling it is it going to be a repeat victory? Even when we're looking back in the past from Wichita, how they played in season 3, everybody was wondering, are they going to be able to do it in the next season? They weren't able to, and, Wichita, maybe they're looking to do it here, and a little bit of a turn of fortune from their previous selves and previous name, but down to earth, they need so much more energy. They have to be able to shut down the map control. I think that was one of the most understated points that you had drawn up, and it's got to come through for the next map.
I completely agree. And, the good thing is we can take a look at the statistics in just a moment, and we can see, how can these performances on Chalet shift over to map number 2, which will be Villa. And you can just see here the stark difference between these two rosters. Twizzler just putting on an absolute banger of a performance there for Smoke Break. The 1.66 rating, going +9 overall, and a 70% cost to boot. Maxley as well, 80% cost, strong performance there. All around, Smoke Break really showing that they had what it takes. We only saw 2 plants actually happen the entire map, as you can see by the graphic in the middle of your screen there, in round 1 and in round number 10. And really, other than that, it came down to the frags. It came down to the aggression. And honestly, Sticula, that isn't too much of a surprise, given that it is new territory, and more often than not, without the good idea of where you want to put that bomb down, you'll go hunt for those frags.
Kind of a more similar approach, and we always see that as the maps begin to enter the pool. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit saddened that we weren't able to see, either full 12 in regulation for Chalet or a demonstration of infinite overtime as we've had recently. With that being said, Villa is the next map. It's down to Earth's pick, and I'm hoping that they take a step out of this, go back to the locker room and say, what went wrong on that first map and how do we fix it moving forward? We've got the second map here on the night ahead of us, but before we go next, we're going to be taking a short break as we get prepared. Don't close this tab.
Hello everyone, we are back with map 2 of this very important series for D2E, and unfortunately for them, the first map, Chalet, did not go their favor. A very clean victory coming out from Smoke Break, and if D2E cannot secure a decisive win here, their playoff hopes are likely more than over at that point. Next week, they'll be going on to face Mystic, and we all know what we can expect there. But Sticula, you know, Chalet is a map that we don't get to see very often, or much at all until now, and that's been great. What kind of lessons can we take from Chalet, maybe to Villa now, or maybe towards Chalet in the future?
You know, I feel like it was a lot about the map control and the vertical play. If you're going to go dive deeper into Smoke Break's attacks, they knew what they wanted to do. They knew how they were going to get it done, and they just did it. I mean, they did it every single time. They had their plan laid out ahead of them, and it never looked like there was a serious bump in the road that shifted them away. One round that definitely comes to mind was on the basement when Bone for D2E, he tried to adjust. He tried to slow things down on the first floor, and Smoke Break, they just trucked right through him. He couldn't put anything up to stop them, and, you know, so that's sort of, it almost worked against his own team. Now that they had lost a man, they had lost Bone, who we had cited as the match MVP in that round. It didn't leave his team with really much else that they could do. And I'm always thinking about that playoff picture, because now that there's only 3 remaining points, if D2E can muster a regulation win on the next map of Villa, the opportunities left to challenge for playoffs are just getting lesser and lesser. And with this win on the map prior, Smoke Break are rolling out the red carpet in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, Villa is not the same map as Chalet. Definitely will play out a lot differently. We should see a good bit of the roam as well. And at least for D2E's sake, this is a map they're certainly going to be more comfortable on. A staple of the map pool, and one that both of these teams should be well versed on. You know, we can bring up these caster predictions again and just see, you know, what was the expectation here. And Sticula, that tie still totally within the cards, but, you know, my prediction for Smoke Break, that's looking even better, I gotta say. I'm looking at these percentages, right, under our names. That would, of course, be the percentages that we've all gotten right in terms of the predictions. Now, 22% Stick. Now, 50% is obviously the one I'm touting. Do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to say about that?
I need to redeem myself. Yeah, maybe I should do a little bit less sleeping and more research on the teams as far as the predictions go. Villa ahead of us. We're going to jump into the operator vetoes, though, as I'm very clearly red in the face. But as far as bans, I think this is just going to be rhyme and reason. The ones I'm watching out for the most have probably going to be Smoke Break. As far as what they change, are they going to do some weird, wacky bans that, you know, try to throw down to earth off guard, or is this just going to be kind of stock standard?
I mean, we saw the Pulse ban on Chalet, so we definitely know that these two teams can get creative. But it's Villa. It's not a weird map. It is what we can normally expect. Probably Ace or one of these ranged hard breachers next. No, the Buck is going to come out from D2E. That's awesome. I love to see these variations. That could very well be a target ban of some kind. Maybe Smoke Break love to bring out the Buck. I mean, it's a very powerful operator on all of these bomb sites. The vertical play is so important, but I'm not exactly sure why. And now we're seeing the smoke. What is going on? What is going on?
Well, I was thinking Smoke Break were going to ban the weird operators if they wanted to, but it looks like Down to Earth are kind of ahead of the game. We've got the final ban to see if Smoke Break are going to double down on the weirdo bans. Nope, just a Mira, but Buck and Smoke, that can really change the way that this plays out. Smoke bans, I would say, are maybe a little bit more popular. I feel like banning Buck, I mean, you're just going to bring Sledge anyway. Unless it's like Coastline, that's really not going to be the biggest factor. Villa in the SOP destruction, mainly where we're looking at that is kind of on the aviator site. You know, you want to make sure that you can get the stuff off the walls, but that's more the job of an IQ. You know, we don't see like really developed vertical play efforts, and it almost makes me think, you know, we had so much vertical play from Smoke Break in the previous game that banning the Buck is some symptom of that for Down to Earth, but I think it's honestly just kind of picking at straws.
Stick, are you looking at of the operator lineup here?
I can see this. Yeah, this is something. Okay.
So it's possible that the strange bans are the new Down to Earth. They may just be fed up with this series and they want to end it off early, but they're bringing out the they're bringing out the Nook, the Lion, and the Yana. They teased a Fuse, but we're not going to see him in play. But as far as for the legitimacy of this lineup, it's not too far from viable. The Nook is the exception, of course, to that rule, but the Lion and the Yana, not together but often separately, could be used to actually form a pretty solid aggressive approach to any of these bomb sites. But the concern here is the Nook. You are bringing the frag grenades, so good on you there, but that primary gadget is all but useless, and there really isn't much in the way of hard breach, or at all. I'm just gonna confirm, but no, there isn't any hard breach, and you're staring down a site that relies heavily on the hard breach, and you've got a good bit of that hard breach denial as well. The Lion scan gonna go out at least the first time, so now Smoke Break have some idea of the antics that they're dealing with.
Wow. EPA very aggressive, not a maneuver you would often see from a Valkyrie, and Nivozo punishes him for it, though not before Exile takes a tremendous amount of damage, but looks like down to earth, the pain train is about to come into the station. A red stairs take. Not quite sure if I've ever seen this maneuver before. Looks like the Vigil might have been isolated. Max Lily being chased down. Now they're going to try to rush over towards China. Seems like the Vigil might be stuck all by his lonesome, but he's playing in the corner of China, and if down to earth push on through, they might not totally expect him. It looked like originally the plan was to just move in through the side, and so far I'd call it a success. If not for this maneuver, Morocco goes big. Shut down by Exile, 3-on-2, down to earth. Managed to recover their advantage with one player off-site. Bone is careful to watch the flanks. They need to get some intel to figure out where Faded is, but there goes Max Illy. He's inside the objective, close up and lying prone. Ranked move if I've ever seen one, and Faded still sits at the door. With the Aruni gate open, this should give him a little bit of intel. Bone trying to trade blows as he closes in on the door, but Faded's not going to let that happen. Sentibiano and Max Illy will pick up the pieces for that final pick. Exile with a little bit of commentary.
Smoke Break did a great job of recovering that one. That would have certainly been a brutal round to lose, given that D2E appeared to have every intention of losing the round from the get-go. And overall, though, excellent job to Smoke Break, actually making it happen, rotating it back to the bomb site just in the nick of time to save that one, because in those aggressive moments, when you're staring down an all-out rush or something more unexpected, sometimes the surprise that kind of play can have is all that an attacking team needs to take the round. That was certainly what D2E were hoping that could work for them there, but at the end of the day, that would not be the case. Maxley and Faded clutching that one up and really making that one happen. So good on them there. For D2E, clearly that round didn't go the way they planned, or maybe it did. I mean, we're not entirely sure at this point. But they are bringing out the Nook again, so maybe this is part of some massive brain 2000 IQ strategy that we aren't quite familiar with, and I am curious, albeit skeptical, of how this could play out.
Yeah, I'm seeing kind of the weird ops go from weird ops to even weirder. We have Twitch being brought by Exile. You know, maybe once in a blue moon, I think the one escape that I could bring for a Twitch here would be dealing with Electro Claws, because Thatcher is banned. But I'm not going to dive in too deep because I have a feeling that down to earth, there's not really a huge overarching plan here. I think they've kind of recognized that this is going to be one of their last performances in SCS, and so they want to go out how they want to play. They're not going to sweat it just to lose. They're going to play comfortable, and they're going to have some fun. Now that they're on the big screen, so that, you know, in the future, maybe if some of them leave competitive, they can look back on this VOD and say, you know, we went out on our own terms. As far as the Twitch play, the only other time I would expect to see her is if there's an Ashe ban. I had a Coastline match the other day where Ashe was removed, and so you kind of brought Twitch to fill the void of your entry role. Yusuke already being kind of pestered a little bit there by the goo mine in his leg for Smoke Break. Not much to happen on the map as of yet.
Yeah, we can see once again we've got a little bit of this not fully roamer duo, but an eager to roam duo of Faded and Maxley there, getting aggressive out of trophy landing. but playing this one still a bit close to the site. The Jackal scan going out, and that is going to force Smoke Break to start to back on off. Yusuke, the Jackal SMG coming out rather than the C7E that can be such a powerful AR to bring to the fight, but it's got a drum mag and it can mow down any defender willing to walk on into it. But in this case, it may be Maxley walking into Navozo's crosshair. The Zofia playing this very direct flank watch and nearly getting punished for it, but it will indeed pay off. So D2E, despite the weird operator picks, they will go up a man, and now they can look towards the site itself. They've got the players up and landing, and now Bone is gonna get another frag. TPA getting over eager, jumping down into jungle and finding the grave.
Morocco will finally earn a kill back on the board as trophy control, not a firm grasp here for D2E in their attack, but Bone is looking for a sneak play. Kojin will gun down Morocco. The barbed wire doesn't seem like it actually provides the alert, but Twizzler, he'll swing on by, and so for the time being, a 2-on-2 before Navozo comes to the rescue, reviving his teammate, and Bone has snuck past the guards. So move on through. The Cade seems aware of this. Twizzler's surely going to relay the information. The drone moves on through, and the Cade, slow as he goes, will try and retreat back. Oh, what a shot there for Bone. The FMG9 makes it happen on the long angle, and now Twizzler into the clutch. He's going to have to try and pull some heroics in this round. Navozo, Exile, both on low HP. The prone angle, wow, Bone still gets him. D2E with a phenomenal round number 2.
Bone played Nook and got a 3K. In case you were thinking that but weren't quite sure, let me just clarify that for you. And obviously, despite the antics here, that was overall a very well executed attack from D2E. They started their approach very traditionally. You work your way over from that study side. You go from that south to north clear. Once you're cleared up through landing, you put somebody on the master balk and you pressure from master as well, and you get that crossfire going. I mean, they really did do their traditional checklist, although that the operator selection may not have been as traditional. Smoke Break, definitely not the way they wanted that one to go down on Trophy and Statuary, and they will be opting to repeat it. This time bringing out the Goyo, so they can possibly lock this down and play this one a bit closer to the site, knowing that the aggressive roam clear coming in from D2E is something that will likely happen.
Chalet being brought by Yusuke here. So you're a replacement for Thatcher, as much as I'm hesitant to say that. One thing quickly that I wanted to bring up is we have a new member joining us for this match. It's Uzumaki, who has joined on for our observation team and has done a phenomenal job in what Ferme has told me is only his 3rd match of actually observing. So credit to Uzu for what has been a very enjoyable match to actually commentate over so far, and I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot more of Uzu observing come the future. But JC, we already saw what Bone made happen, so I think the Nook pick, even though her gadget is kind of terrible, is justified here, even with the recent buff that she saw. Yusuke on Chalet in Exile bringing Blackbeard. What are your thoughts there?
Well, we know all about Blackbeard. We talk about that pretty much every match because somebody is always daring enough to pull out the face shield. But the Chalet is an interesting one because, you know, similar to a Thatcher, I mean, you can take care of those gadgets. You can take them out, not only disable them, but completely eliminate them. And that's something that Thatcher can no longer do. And it's exactly what you need when approaching from the master side. At least Yusuke will not be able to use that gadget, however, as Morocco just goes for the aggressive swing, dropping the diffuser down and dropping that first kill onto D2E. Navozo will be the second, falling at the hands of TPA, who will be quickly traded back. So now D2E with the advantage, or with the disadvantage rather, are going to be looking to recover this attack, an attack that has taken quite a bit of a different shape than the round prior. Last time they did go for a typical south to north clear, and this time around they went for that early aggression, that early push, but that has already been punished. But here comes Bone, activating the, I guess, pseudo silent step gadget. I don't even know the name of the Nook gadget, but just gonna creep on in the window of the bathroom and try to go for the sneaky play. Kojin's play is not gonna work, but Bone is hoping to crawl this one back, but just there's no defender in sight.
Smokebreak need to be careful. We all know that Bone is just looking for every opportunity to walk through the door and find as many picks as possible. Seems the Jaeger could be aware of what is ongoing here. One of the gadgets for the Aruni has been deactivated, but now is available to be reactivated. Should one of the members get up enough courage to swing around and actually shoot it, Exile gives up his earlier window aspirations. Covers the case and will look to maybe aggress through the door. Ooh, Jaeger spotted. A lot of damage done onto Exile. No more face shields to leverage, but still a real mountain of utility lies ahead for Down to Earth if they want to claw their way into the objective. Frag grenade begins to be cooked. Bone continues to be pestered with bullets. He needs to get on the run, but Bone's in the grave. And a frag grenade from Bone nearly kills Exile, serving him down to about 3 health points against Smokebreak, who are ready to choke the life out of this final attacking member. And there it goes.
Faded closing it out there onto Exile and Smokebreak. They will take the round, despite the back and forth nature of that one, and the Nook player, Bone, who just loves to go prone. I mean, the prone angles from Bone have been incredible stuff. I mean, this is solid content here, but it's just not working out for them at the end of the day. At least in that round, Smokebreak will recover their trophy and statuary hold against an aggressive Master Take. Now, the aggression that I mentioned, we could see even more of it if Yusuke does stick the blitz. And yes, the blitz will be a factor because Exile is going to snag the 6th pick and switch over to the Finka. But here's the big brain counterplay, switching from the Legion to the Capcan. That's Faded pulling out all the stops against what looked like it's going to be just the fullest of attacking sends you've ever seen.
And for Dining as well, on top of that, I feel like Dining is probably the most of the rushing sites where that's actually like a legitimate idea. With Bones drone down below in the sort of basement bottom pantry stairs area, I think we might have a little bit of an answer as to the question of, is this Down to Earth going to roam or rush, excuse me, or are they going to try to play a simple strategy like a normal execute with Blitz Finka? It's just not going to happen. Exile's got the secondary hard breach as well, so you could open up the pantry single wall there and use that as another entry point. One thing that you might not know about, considering Finka, not the most competitive of operators, when she activates her Adrenal Surge, you get a boost to the ADS speed, which is huge for a shield operator, considering, you know, the ADS speeds have been nerfed over and over again, and it's actually quite slow. But look at this play from Max Illy. He's ready to jump out the window. Who's that angle way out in spawn? It's Exile waiting for the Vigil. As he comes on out, he'll get all of his health ripped away, but Exile, with the terrible weapon that the spear is, not able to confirm the kill.
Oh, well, Yusuke's gonna get a face full of tripwire as the Capcan trap detonates, and Maxley knows exactly where that is and will confirm the kill as a result. A great combination of knowledge there from Twizzler, Faded, and Maxley. Good job to work together to get that kill, but now they're staring down Bone, who's now working his way up in pantry, going for the aggressive swing, and it will work somehow. Twizzler will get a bit out of position there, just taking a picture of that engagement with a heartbeat sensor instead of having his gun up and actually shooting back. Now Bone gonna rain those frag grenades on through. They're not going to connect, but Faded will. That one on to Navozo, and that's gonna mean that D2E once again have a disadvantage to crawl back from. You've got Exile in play, so some of this HP loss can be at least mitigated for a certain period of time if Exile wants to hit the button on her thumb, but Maxley is going to make that impossible or at least useless. Now that Bone and Kojin are just no longer in this round whatsoever, Exile the Finka in a 1v4.
Being chased as well, though Morocco maybe thinking she's at the top of the red stairs, when instead the Russian operator down at the bottom. Morocco nearly had that fight, but he's aware of the situation that he's in. Max Italy, for his low HP, still on a tear. No more nitro cells for Faded or TPA to try and lob around the corner, and Yusuke gonna give a little bit of call out there. Exile will find a pick that makes this workable. Low HP, Max Italy could go down, and One more adrenal surge. If the Vigil dies, Faded is going to be on shaky territory, and this one on a similar course to a lot of my ranked games, where you tell everybody to sit on site, we've got the man advantage, and, well, the opposite surely happens. 40 seconds for the Finca to find her way on through. The angles are maintained. Maxilli still waits. The spear will give away Finca's position just a little bit, attempting the spray fire. Smokebreak recognizing the value here of playing this in the 2-on-1 and never giving the individual fights. Bone calls out for Freezer. Still, we wait to see where this is going. Exile closing in, 20 seconds to make this one count. Maxilli running away, tries to escape as Faded. The shots by the 9x9 just won't go through on the wall. He'll find one in Exile. He gets the Vigil, stops the 3K, but Faded has the safety to give this round away, and quite a much longer one compared to the earlier tempo here on Villa.
Well, I'd love to take a look at our scoreboard here and actually see where we are situated, because, I mean, that was something. I mean, Smokebreak taking the round, not a shocker at all there. The Finca in play, the Blitz in play, the Nook as well, I guess the Wombo combo, but instead of the information denial Wombo combo that I always like to talk about, it's the throw as hard as you can Wombo combo. So it obviously does have an intent, so you gotta give it to him there. And Faded did get 3 impactless frags at the end of the round to pad the stats. Always good to see. But at the end of the day, D2E will not secure at least another attacking round for the time being. They're going to have to move to round number 5, where Smokebreak will now retreat to their primary bomb site of choice, one that they were able to defend successfully the first time around.
Well, Exile's bringing the G8, and we all know the rules there. If you bring the G8, it goes burr, and members of Smokebreak could be felled. This could serve as the evening point. One thing that you need to always think about, though down to earth, are playing this match by an unusual playstyle. The rounds, they still matter, and if Smokebreak can collect 3 more, that puts them in a position where they guarantee themselves at least 1 point and reduce the opportunity for Down to Earth to claim a flat-out 3-point wins. Bone gonna drop something there. He's actually been off of the Ash so far for a long time in D2E's composition. Kojin was like the hard breach. He almost never played Ash, but he's being let out of the dog cage today to really have at him.
Well, the Amaru is first going to be used just to jump up to the roof. We're not going to see a big old 90 rush quite yet. And, ooh, a nice little pre-fire there, nearly actually working. The outline that we could see, I would assume that Exile can't see it, but who really knows at this point. We're going to have this defense, though. It's mostly just on the bomb site. You've got 3 defenders there. TPA not included is going to be roaming down below in Library. Now, with this sort of aggressive attack, the lack of any flank watch operator or no nomad or anything in play, that could mean that Smokebreak are in the perfect position to get these flanks going. Maxley's not going to need to flank, just holding down the bomb site. He'll allow himself to get a kill onto Yusuke. Kojin will respond. That one onto Twizzler. A nice just angle there found, pushing up into the classical hall. So something. Maxley going to get into a bit of a scuffle with Novozo here, but both players going to back off for the time being and wait to fight another day. Minute 45 now remaining, and now in a 3v4 as Exile will be cut down by Faded. Once again, D2E, they've got to recover this disadvantage.
Lifeline shot in there through the studied door. It seems it had gotten captured. Oh, here we go. A big play. Valkyrie swings out on wide, but Bone, he goes big. 3 picks to the name. Another triple kill collected by the Nook, and Faded, he's running right out of sight into the waiting arms of Kojin for Down to Earth to collect their second round of Villa. It seems when Bone goes big, the rest of the team, they follow in suit, and quite a miraculous performance there with a spontaneous charge into the middle of the objective, and the Nook doing all the work. I would never imagine it, but Bone can really frag on any operator, whether it is Nook, it's Blitz, Monty, or even Thermite. We've seen it all from the Bonester, and he is really putting in a tremendous amount of work this match.
Wow. All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Bone said it in chat. Nook is viable, I guess. But I think the more accurate picture, Sticula, as you mentioned. Bone can frag out on anyone. You put an FMG9 in his hands, and, well, he'll find a way to make it go burr. So, D2E, a successful attack on Aviator in games. You know, slow clap for them or something. But Smoke Break, they, you know, surely are looking like the more composed team. Obviously, you know, the sarcasm in the booth has definitely increased, at least from my end. But
Twizzler.
Sometimes, this is how it is.
Shotgun. Twizzler has Doc's shotgun.
Oh, no
I don't
way.
believe it.
All right, so now the memes are coming out from both teams. So, you know what? It's good to see that Smoke Break are adapting to their opponent, right? I always love to talk about adaptability, and if your opponent is throwing, why not join them?
Bear with me here. You don't talk about the Doc shotgun until you've seen it in action, because that thing, it hits like a truck. You think the smoke shotgun, the M590 is good? Well, wait till you see the SGCQB. When it's in a battle and Twizzler could overstim himself, you're never going to be more scared than when 140 HP, I think Doc is a 2 or 3 armor operator swinging out on you with that shotgun. It's going to give you a nightmare that you will never forget. Max Ellie waits at the window. Going to go for the very old-fashioned master bedroom attempted peek, or there we go. He's ready for it. He doesn't see the players repelled. Nobody out on the study window, mostly comprised of down-to-earth positioning on the veranda. But Bone, he's hiding out below, perhaps looking to uproot Maxilli. Morocco goes down, the Star Fragger put to the dirt. As Kojin creeps on by. The Doc lurks around the corner, Twizzler at the ready, hoping that he can make something happen, and he's got the laser sight too. You're gonna get a mouthful of buckshot if you try and peek him whatsoever here, and I just can't wait to see the result of this. But for the moment, Smoke Break have not been allowed the opportunity, and it seems like Down to Earth are mostly holding on in this round.
Yep. Despite Navozo falling now down to earth for the first time in quite a while, they have the advantage. It's a 4v3, and, well, they'll be looking to add to that. Oh, but Maxley's out here in 90. His position was completely unknown. Hill's going to get another kill, but that will be quickly answered back by Bone and Exile. A nice double kill between the two of them. They will take round 6, closing out the half. What, was that an even split, Stick?
I don't believe it. I do not believe what we are seeing so far, and the good halves are dropped in chat. I'm just sad that the Doc was not able to get any picks because he was always hiding in the site. I think he could have played a little bit more aggressive there, but, you know, I don't know what exactly the validity of doing color casting on a Doc shotgun in a 1-on-3 is, but perhaps we'll have some discussion about that topic in chat. D2E, they're on the defense now. For Smoke Break, other than the Jackal, which I think falls closer to the Isle of Sensibility than of complete craziness, maybe this game is getting back on track, but Caviera, I don't think Caviera really has any excuse. You can't. You really can't.
Well, like, the one thing is Bone clearly has a mission in mind. Go with, you know, the same operator on both sides, offense and defense, as, you know, Nook is essentially the attacking Cav. And while the strategy is certainly unorthodox, maybe it can work out. Because we talked a little bit about earlier the element of surprise that nearly worked out for D2E in round 1. And while in the rest of the first half that certainly wasn't surprise, on defense, Caviera, I mean, that is what she does best. Surprise you. You know, just hide down in a corner, ratting behind some table, and you just spring up, you pop a head or two, and if you can secure an interrogation, I mean, even better. But in the competitive scene, when you do see a Cav, obviously interrogations are the goal, but usually that's not something that you would risk. Instead, it's all about just that silent step, your ability to just go for these cheeky flanks, and you know, Bone experimenting so far, and I mean, he's honestly been reinforced in that operator selection. I mean, 3 rounds on Villa attack, even when you're playing like a non-Mimi style of attack, it definitely is a pretty good accomplishment, to say the least.
I wonder if the idea here, you mentioned Bone's mission, playing Nook and Caviera, is to strengthen his resume. I mean, you can't slander Bone for this one. He is 11-3 playing Nook in a T3 match. That's certainly a point that I would pick somebody up for, and maybe Bone is looking to build things across the aisle now on the defense side. Smoke break will show us a little bit of normalcy. We have a master bedroom push coming in, but Bone is going to be the one to uproot things. Smoke break, they have a roam clear, but they don't have a flank watch, and I think that's the big problem here. They're going to have to drop down a couple of drones to make sure that's always kept in mind. Bone does have, it seems, some opposition down here. I wonder if that was the Jackal at bottom red. Twizzler acting as somewhat of the vertical, rather, of the roam flank watch as he lights prone inside Astro, but oh no, Exile and Kojin, they're both dead, and the site control for Down to Earth crumbling.
Yeah, especially with Bone off-site, even creeping around, it's not going to get you much. The kill from Navozo will, though, and actually we could be seeing a scuffle here. Bone has gone completely unnoticed at the moment, and the player on the top of red stairs, is that Morocco who's pushing up? Now their position is known in study, and no, that's going to be Maxley who gets nearly caught out, but Bone misses some crucial shots, but eventually lands them. Maxley goes for the re-challenge, swings the angle again, and Bone is there with the pistol to punish it out. So Down to Earth are still in a 2v3 situation, but they've got coverage from a variety of different points. You've got Yusuke holding down this run-in from the aviator study door, and that'll be covered perfectly. Yusuke's gonna get the kill, and all of a sudden, this one is a very even battle with now, I'd argue, Smoke Break on the back foot. You've got Bone now getting the shots. What a shot there from Bone. He'll get one faded now on the recovery, will get one back, but now it is a 1v1. Faded on 100 HP against Yusuke with 50. But Yusuke has these castle barricades and all these reinforcements standing between Faded's way. No Selma charges left. That means Faded has only one option. Rotate around to the aviator side, either send it through this door or through the breach. Yusuke gets the pre-fire and lands a couple of the shots. Faded's pre-fire on the alibi lets Yusuke know of his position, but now getting the bomb down and all triple zeros, but Yusuke is not there to act in time. Now Faded is in a post plant. He'll drop down a smoke to cover what looks like a bit of retreat here. He'll move out into 90 and now get the coverage here with the AK-12, but Yusuke goes around the other side from the gun vault wall to greet him. There are pings constantly being pinged, so he should know what he has to do to take down Faded. Instead, he teases the diffuser. Now Faded goes for the challenge, the pre-fire. It will connect, and Faded will secure the round, a dicey one, to say the least, but Smoke Break will prevail in round number 7.
Wow, I mean, I'm in utter shock after that. When the Castle played it smart, he was on the jump-up angle and tried to guard the first entrance, but I thought as soon as the Caviar got that long shot, you're not going to win, you're not going to lose that round after you just demoralize your opponent like that. Trophy and statue to come again, and Yusuke bringing the dock. Will we see the shotgun across the other side? I'm not sure. Down to Earth are starting to patch a few rounds together, and you know, maybe the momentum that they're starting to build up is going to influence them to kick this into high gear and try just a little bit more, even still bringing the, you know, more sensible operator composition. Could you imagine it, Jay-Z, if they win this by playing with troll operators? If I was on Smoke Break, I would be pissed.
Well, certainly, but you also have to be inspired a little bit. I mean, if you see, you know, D2E bringing out the more, we'll call it experimental operators, you know, you could be encouraged to do the same thing. That's why we saw the Doc shotgun. That's why we saw that in play, and it's why we might see some antics here on attack as well. Twizzler pulling out the Yana, that certainly isn't unexpected. Yana or Lion, one of those two operators, are often seen as part of your Villa attacking lineup, especially if you want to get more aggressive, as both of these teams are proving to be here. Now, Bone is once again, I can't even tell, what is he writing here? Dash?
Oh, I got it. Yeah, sus. Gotcha.
Oh, sus. Okay.
He could have chose a more readable one.
Oh, there we go.
There we are.
That's much better.
Much better. There's some real artwork here from D2A, and I'm sure the chat is just going to be absolutely flooded with something coming soon, but we'll have to look back to see if this is actually done for. Exile stemmed up for his spawn peek. Max Ilium. What did he just take damage from? Was that a nitro tossed out of a window by Navozo? It seemed like that was the only likely option here, and Bone continuing to play the Caviar. I believe he picked up a 2-piece in the previous round. Yusuke DBN, oh, but he's back up in the fight. Oh, not for long. The pistol will come through for Faded, and the P9 guns him down. Wow, 2 for Faded. He's just ripping right through D2E. We could be staring down a flawless round. It's just your Caviar left to try and win this one. The Louison, it hits hard when you're in the clutch, but TPA, that's a long-range battle. Smoke Break recover their efforts. A flawless round to cap off this statue attack.
Excellent work there from Smoke Break. They are not having it anymore, it seems. They got aggressive, they pushed up into that site, and they simply clicked on heads. Excellent job to recover their momentum and to solidify themselves with the advantage. Now the 5v3 scoreline secured, 2 rounds up. Now they are looking good, and well, if they're looking good at this point, I'm pretty sure I know what that means. It's time to get even more creative. Now the Nook pick is going to shine on the Smoke Break side of things now, with TPA taking up the bicycle helmet operator herself. Now, this one could be interesting. We're going to have a Caviera Nook battle.
Sneaky operators being played on both sides, as very similarly, the Doc shotgun that I had hyped up so much didn't really get to see much use. The same was said for the Caviera, and wow, Bone is off the Caviera. So for a moment there, I had almost thought that Bone was gonna play, oh, he's just gonna play Vigil. We've seen Bone on Vigil before, but he's got the Boss G. The Boss G of all weapons. If Bone gets a kill with this Boss G, that's kind of just one of those moments where you're gonna be slamming your desk and saying, how do we let this happen? Smoke Break bringing the Nook. I wonder if maybe this is, what did you say it was earlier, experimental? Maybe TPA just wants to get the feel of how Nook plays on game day.
Maybe. I mean, at some point, you got to try out the more creative approach. Otherwise, you're never going to find a new strat. You're going to run defaults every time. That's how we see developments in the meta. That's, pro teams usually spend much of their time, developing those strats because they're, paid full time to practice and stuff. But, why not see that at T3 as well? Bring some creative strategies. Maybe the pros can look at this game and learn from it. I mean, hell, TSM lost to Beast Coach just a few moments ago. Maybe bringing out the Nook could have saved them from that unfortunate fate. Who really knows? It's all speculation at this point. The one thing we can be certain of is that Smoke Break are already in the building, and they're already getting quite aggressive on kitchen and dining here. They're using the Selma charges to open up that wall into pantry, and they're getting quite aggressive off it as a result. That means that Yusuke and Bone playing this top floor are not going to be much help, especially as Maxley is going to line up too. Kojin and Bone will have the response. That's going to be Faded, Morocco, and Twizzler all in the grave. And with the diffuser on the ground, TPA and Maxley have to pull this one back. There is one player on the flank, while the other two either lock down the site itself. You've got Bone on the top floor and Kojin in dining. Oh, a nice nade there. TPA going to cut down the Valkyrie and turn this one into a 2v2. All these operators mostly full HP except for Maxley, who's about 70 to his name. And now it's just all about getting this one done. Here comes the Cav play. Yusuke silent stepping on in, will get the shots, and then the trade comes out onto the Jackal. The Cav play, it paid off. Yusuke smoked in the chat, or smoked in the chat. Absolutely correct.
Well done for D2E. They have interrupted the Smoke Break winning streak, putting themselves in within reach. And for SB, they hold on to a thin lead, as it looks like the spark has been lit for D2E, who are playing at just one more level. No Nook gonna be shown again for Smoke Break, instead bringing the 0. Were this to be an ordinary match, I would probably express my delight with seeing 0. I think he's a good operator. We're probably going to see a lot of play from him in Challenger League, where there is always that one player on your opponent's team that seems to try and flank you. 0 can step in for Nomad, who has seen a lot of bans recently, and provides 4 extra pieces of intel on top of the 2 drones that the 0 comes standard with. That's a lot more intel than you usually have, and it's not like the replica replicators where you can only use them one at a time, and you can only use them, you know, before they recharge. Now you can put down 4 extra pieces of utility, and that allows you to play so much more flexible. I'm waiting until we see a full demonstration of the capabilities of Zero at T1 play, because I think it's going to be a real phenomenal operator, and it's quite stunning, really.
It's hard, though, to often justify the Zero pick in the meta that we're in, where Nomad on this map is just so essential. Like, at the T3 level and even the T2 level, like, having someone staffed on flank watch just constantly isn't a role that you always have allocated, and it's something that, especially in T3, a lot of players, like, who wants to sit on drones the whole time? Nobody. But that's what the Zero forces you to do if you're replacing the Nomad with that pick, right? You put the air jabs down. Of course, your flank is not going to be completely impenetrable, but it definitely gives you at least some semblance of safety, and you don't have to constantly be watching your flank. But a Zero cam, it's useless unless somebody is actively staring at it. So something to consider there as well. But Maxley won't have to consider that. Maxley will be able to just stare at the Zero cams for the remainder of the round, because Bone is frying people over here. The Boss G is going to find another kill, and now Bone is on the hunt for one more. There it is, the triple kill, the quad kill from Bone with the, oh my goodness, with the Boss G. Exile gets the last one. Now a flawless round. Oh my word.
Jeez. I mean, Bone, he is different. That's the only way to describe that one. Going absolutely huge with the Boss G, down to earth, regain the opportunity. They're back at equal odds against their opponent, Smoke Break, here on D2E's map pick, and they're looking to take this one step further. Take a look at the replay here. Bone, he files on in, 2 shots in the barrel for the Boss G, and both of them connect, even onto the Ash, who was droning on the bed. Could have maybe chosen a little bit better of a hiding spot there for Smoke Break, but D2E, even despite the memes, all of the energy, it's paying off for them, and they can win this round. They're gonna get that point guaranteed.
Yeah, this is, I think Smoke Break are now,
Ooh.
That's unfortunate. Well, a team kill coming out, as Exile is gonna, you know, enjoy that one. But you know, Smoke Break are now coming to the point where they are likely realizing that they should probably focus up and win this round right here. They are very much still in contention. They already are, you know, in that playoff position, and if down to earth are, you know, slowly, you know, whittling away, and the fact that they just lost that first series, Smoke Break are in a really good position, and this win here for Smoke Break would be great for the seeding of the playoffs. It would really help them going forward, and it would further confirm that they would secure this spot. Nemesis is also one of the 2 teams that vying for that playoff spot. Only 4 teams make it in out of the 6 in the group stage, so there are some other teams to still worry about here, and Smoke Break is probably looking to clean this one up and secure the full 6 points on the day, because like you said, if D2E just find one more round over the next couple, they will indeed secure at least 1 point. And Smoke Break, sure, they could still get 2, but they're, you know, they're looking to walk away with the full prize.
Well, here's a real rough start for D2E on what had looked to be the round where they were going to change it all. Yusuke goes down, Nevo finds the grave, but I mean, neither of those two have really been the 2 players that have forced themselves into the winning position. It has been Bone, who I just asked our stats analyst. Bone has more than 5 multi-kills in this 11-round game, and that's exactly how you're going to find your way up to 18 frags. Specifically, I remember the 2 multi-kill 3Ks that he got with Nook, and just previously a huge quad with the Boss G. Moving into this round, TPA provides some safety, watching down the red stairs. Ooh, Exile needs to be careful as he kind of does try to play a little bit of a dangerous game. It's actually the Valkyrie. Nitro launched into Wolf, or maybe she still kept it back in her pocket. There's the detonation. The call is made. The sound is heard. Man advantage maintained for Smoke Break. Exile, pistol in hand, trying to preserve his long-range capabilities, obviously with the M870 in his pocket. Not going to provide you the best advantage when you're trying to fight opponents all the way across the breach for the execute. The pistol swing will go down, but Bone, he's he's sent to the grave. 2 on 5 for Smokebreak, who looked to be charging forward, pestered by Exile by the vertical below, and Kojin prone in the corner. If he could get this done, that would really be tremendous here. 55 seconds. Twizzler has a defuse, but a lucky rotate will save them from the goon corner there of Kojin, who I don't know if he really has much of a shot in this round.
Well, he's going for the super sneaky play, much like his fallen Cav comrade. It will be crawling around the floor, the ultimate strategy for Kojin. He sneaks around in landing, sees the feet, and secures the kill onto TPA. That's going to inspire Kojin to get off the floor, wipe off his shoes, and get going here. There's the Deagle. That secures the next kill onto Twizzler. But there are only 20 seconds left to get this defuse going. Faded now knows exactly where Kojin is positioned. They've got this crossfire, and now Maxley is on the hunt, and the Nomad will secure the final blow. Smokebreak will take round number 11 in a round that did indeed look a lot cleaner. Smokebreak, they weren't even messing around from the start. They got right in there. They did their due diligence, not slowing down one bit. But Stickler, we really did see a bit of everything in that round. I mean, we saw, I think for the first time in this series, and maybe in SCS for a while, we saw Bandit pulling out the M870.
This match of Villa really a game of firsts so far in terms of what we've seen. The Boss G being brought up, now a Clash, though I believe we had a few Clash plays on an Oregon map earlier in the season, and Exile will swap off to bring instead the Jaeger, though still deliberating exactly to which operator he might go from. The Oryx, okay. I like Oryx a little bit, but I feel like Oryx is more helpful on an Aviator hold. For dining, you know, maybe there's a case to be made for a sneak play to jump up from the art storage area into the study hatch. Maybe that could be where Oryx is helpful, or in the 90 corridor. There's obviously a hatch there that connects to the bottom floor bathroom. But other than that, I feel like if we're taking a serious look at this, you could use a little bit more help on the objective. You don't have a deployable shield. You have only one set of barbed wire. You don't really have anyone to do site construction, though I guess Exile as the Oryx could sort of fulfill that role, but not in the most precise capability, really.
10 seconds left.
Well, on match point now, Smokebreak, they are looking to finish things off and secure the full 6 points for the series. But to do so, attacking kitchen and dining, this is one of those bomb sites that can go wrong sometimes in surprising ways. And, you know, Bone pulling out the Boss G again, trying to add to the, oh my god, 18 kill tally right now, and holding down this top floor. And if Smokebreak do indeed want to go for this top-down clear, they've got a couple of surprises waiting for them. The first comes in the form of a Caviera. Yusuke holding down games, doing a bit of a ring around the rosy here with the Yana drone. But that means Yusuke's position is completely known. And now Smokebreak, their job is to deal with it. TPA, he'll be credited with the kill, but everyone did a good job in forcing the Cav out. Oh no, Bone is gonna get another with the Boss G. That one's onto the head of Faded. That is a huge pick for the Vigil, and now Bone still persists in Master.
Now an answered question and an uncleared roam for the Boss G. Oh, Bone! Another one. Give it straight to him. 2 headshots, 2 shotgun shells. Bone, he'll crack the 20 kill margin as he just runs rampant right through all members. Who would have thought it would be the Boss G Vigil to defend the vertical extension on this defense? Still, I remind you, match point, but was Faded down for the count. He had 17. Max Silly, the substitute, 16 to his name. Exile's put to rest. No flanking. Oryx using that Rima dash to good use as he will join the land of the dead. TPA, though, fell by Navozo, who plays expertly below inside of Tetris. And the Boss G, it still lurks onwards. Bone waits close at sofas here. He'll have to back up. He'll get another one. It's Bone. Give him more and more as he's eating up here on Villa. Twizzler distracted as Kojin tries to push on through for him. Bone could get 22 frags, a quad kill. How many has he gotten on this map? And he will do it. Bone is just on a roll.
I don't have words. I mean, Bone, with the Boss G, single-handedly gave D2E a point and took a point away from Smoke Break. And that's just it at the bare minimum. If D2E, like, they're starting on defense, if Bone pulls out the Boss G again, if I'm Smoke Break, I'm terrified. I don't want to risk losing. I've already lost 1 point and not happy about that for sure. But now, on the cusp of potentially losing a second, if you allow Bone to run wild. Holy moly. Bone is just better than everyone in this lobby, apparently. And wow, really making good use of the Boss G. That is impressive. Definitely some Twitter clips there for Bone.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, Bone is just going absolutely crazy. I wanted to do the math real quick. 22 kills inside of 12 rounds. That is a 1.83 KPR, which is unheard of, really, to be this late in the game. Sometimes you'll see that at the end of the first half if one player just destroys the opposition. But Bone, he's been consistent. He has had at least 10 kills in each half. I mean, have you ever seen that before? That is just incredible. He is single-handedly forcing his team, pushing them through the door, and as time and time again came through for his team, Smoke Break, they've got to ready up in this match because they are looking to get absolutely embarrassed by how well Bone is playing.
Well, Bone may be looking to get aggressive in this one. Got that Aviator window prepped. Or not Aviator, excuse me, Astra window prepped. But no jump out quite yet. Nothing too aggressive. But at any moment, this could take a turn. Here it is. Bone goes for the jump out. SMG-12 cannot control it and get the shot before Faded delivers a kill of his own. And that's Bone off the board. And Novozo and Kojin both with a good round. And definitely admitting defeat and saying, I think, what we're all thinking. The win condition right now for Smoke Break is taking down the Boss G player, taking down Bone, who has been frying and single-handedly dismantling this attack thus far. It's now down to the 4 remaining defenders to lock this site down instead. 5 attackers is what Smoke Break have to work with here. They're going through their top-down clear in an attempt to establish this vertical pressure. Yusuke, though, will get an answer, trading down Maxley and keeping this one even.
An important pick, too, we saw in rounds prior where Maxley goes down. The team tends to struggle a little bit as a result, given that Twizzler, TPA, Morocco, to an extent, all not having phenomenal
Exile
games.
now holding down Memo. Stick, I don't know if you're talking, but I can't hear you. Morocco is going to get that kill onto Exile from above, so that is a good answer to give Smoke Break the edge once more. Novozo now from below. C4 tossed up, nearly connecting, but not quite. Instead, it's Morocco who gets the kill on Novozo, and now Smoke Break have a further advantage.
Just continuing to build this tally as they look to step ahead on the first round of OT. Yusuke, he's got the Scorpion, and if you line it up right, that could be a big opportunity. He'll wait close at the music door. Oh, but a huge play, totally misread. TPA dodging around inside Tetris. It's a 1-on-4 for Kojin. Shotgun in hand, nothing for him to fight this one at range with members of Smoke Break all swarming around him. He'll try to go for one down, but Morocco, he's waiting outside in Mexico to get that final pick, thus moving Smoke Break now up to match point. And I have to say, if Bone goes down early in this next round, there could be a world of hurt ahead.
Well, I expect to see the Nook again from Bone here now that Down to Earth are on the attack. But who knows, really? They could pull out something different, something more creative here, or less creative, I suppose. In fact, they are. They are going for at least 3 random selections. We've got the Glaz, the Dokkaebi, and the Sledge as the picks coming out from Yusuke, Bone, and Exile, respectively. And in the same token, on the side of Smoke Break, we've got a Clash now coming out from Twizzler. So they're also getting a bit spicy with this pick, although Clash is one of the more normal odd picks that we've seen so far tonight. Now, Clash, just like any shield operator, very hit or miss in its very nature. High risk, high reward. But if you can employ the Clash well, you can just be the ultimate thorn in the side of any attack, especially here on Trophy and Statuary, if that attack is fully coming from that master side, or if that attack is all 5 members pushing through from Aviator and Games. You throw a Clash in the mix, and then they have a brick wall to push through, and a brick wall that can be constantly gaining information and giving that to the rest of the team. And especially if you're an attacking team caught against a Clash in landing, that 90 hull, which can be flanked from the main stairs, the red stairs, pretty much any position, that is a very dangerous position to get hung up in. Same thing goes for Master. A Clash in the doorway staring you down, the perfect recipe to allow for C4s coming from below. 2 C4s we have in this round, one from Faded and one from TPA. I expect that Faded will be playing a little bit off the bomb site, but TPA, as the Kaid, will likely be a little bit more anchored.
Something to always keep in mind here because of the, I would say, distracting nature of the events of this game so far. SCS runs infinite overtime, so theoretically we could be here for much longer than the standard 15 rounds, 3 in overtime. If Down to Earth picked this one up, we would be pushed forward into what's called the next bracket of OT, but with Smokebreak claiming the opener, shutting down Yusuke, we might not have that full bounty of infinite overtime. It's all up to Down to Earth. If they want it, they have to go and grab it. Bone still bringing the Boss G, a missed shot, a rarity for him, actually creating an opening here to try and watch deeply inside of Memo. One player trying to move on through, Faded, a little bit low HP. I wonder if he had actually met the business end of that Boss G and taken a lot of health, but perhaps it was the opening in the wall, the penetration, that removed some of the extra damage. Minute and 40. Dokkaebi calls continue to be used as, wow, TPA, he tests the angle and Kojin gets a big fat F. The Ash down for the count. Smokebreak with a tremendous man-up advantage.
Yeah, now a 5v3, 5v2 with the match on the line as Morocco picks up another one, but this one is on to Bone, and the Boss G will be no more. Exile is going to run for the hills, leaving Navozo alone in kitchen and dining to fend for themselves. You've got Maxley close around the corner, lurking here to provide some sort of support or crossfire to Navozo, will be looking to exit China and possibly work their way up the Astro stairs. For now, playing a bit of vertical. Air comes Maxley on the swing, gets the kill, and that is going to put D2E in a do-or-die position. You've got Exile in a 1v5. Having left the building earlier, now his job is to retake and actually get something going, but in the meantime, Smokebreak, they are happy to sit back, kick their feet up, and wait for D2E to walk into their open arms. Here comes TPA, C4 in hand, and goes for the swing. He'll get the kill with the AUG, and Smokebreak with a flawless round. Take round 14, and take map 2 of the series, securing 3 points on Villa, 6 points, not 6 points actually, securing 2 points on Villa, securing 5 points overall.
What a weird match, really, to be certain. Chalet looked like it was perhaps a little bit more serious. D2E wanting to show that they can play on the new map, but as soon as we got over to D2E's pick, as soon as the bells told that it was Smokebreak to take a 7-3 on the earlier map, I think there was somewhat the realization made that this one was going to be a little bit less favored towards them. I have to give credit to D2E, most especially Bone, who, I mean, got just every kill that his team needed to multiple times. He was pushing his team single-handedly over the line, but the lack of contributions for the rest of D2E really hamstrung them and in a position where infinite overtime was not seen, and Smokebreak took it in a flawless fashion there at the final round. I feel a little bit saddened with this victory for Smokebreak now because of the implications it has for Down to Earth, who, I remind everyone, they have to play Team Mystic again in the next week, formerly known as the Gatekeepers, and that is not an easy game.
Yeah, Mystic, essentially undefeated. They haven't gotten the maximum point allocation because a couple of overtime victories, but they have gotten pretty much as close as you could possibly get. Otherwise, sitting at the top of Group A, so D2E certainly have their work cut out for them next week. Maybe you pull out Bone and put him on the Boss G, and you can find some sort of semblance of hope against Whitlock, Gunner, and the rest of those just insane players over on Team Mystic. But for now, I mean, really the story is, again, congratulations to Smokebreak on that victory. But D2E, like you said, a team that is, struggling with the siege motivation as of late. We aren't likely going to see too much more of them going forward. Nemesis as well, and another one of those teams sitting in that precarious out of the playoffs position at the moment. But as Nemesis's game hasn't been played quite yet, we could see them take a victory and, work their way up on through. But as a Challenger League team, all these games that the CL teams play can be taken with a little bit of a grain of salt, given that they're careful not to reveal too many of their strats for the upcoming CL season.
Yeah, never fun to play in a T3 league and then have all of your stuff be immediately found out. Let's go jump over to the statistics. I'm sure everybody is waiting to see just exactly what Bones' rating was in this map. A fantastic 1.73, but the rest of his team, they weren't even close. Kojin, the only one who even got one step away from scratching a 1.0 rating on the side of Smokebreak. 1.45 for both Faded and Maxilli. And I have to say, for Max as the sub in this game, he showed up exactly when his team needed him.
I gotta echo that 100%. Maxley was a star player this entire series, was top frag by far on map 2 of Villa, and really good to see that you got somebody, in your pocket on your roster that you can, throw in to sub and really keep the cohesion there. Because when you throw a sub on your roster, it shakes pretty much everything up, whether you can slap them on the identical role as your, lost teammate for that moment. That's often good, but sometimes you have to shuffle things around and you add the, potential issues with communication and the comms, and that can always make things a lot more difficult. But it's good to see that Maxley would fit right on in, a 71% cost as well for both Faded and Maxley there. So it is good to see them all working to their fullest extent. 3 players on the side of Smokebreak were able to go positive on the day, or the map rather, and on the side of D2E, like you highlighted, Sticula, it is indeed unfortunate that Bone was able to go plus 14 on the day, but everyone else was lacking, just a bit behind.
All right, well, we're going to hop on over to our interview. We've actually got the coach of Smokebreak going to be joining us, Rob. I've managed to chat with him a little bit in the past. Rob is an exceptional coach, very talented, always keeping his eyes forward and his team at the ready, preparing against Down to Earth. What goes into that? Because we know what they're capable of. Maybe today wasn't the biggest showing of that, but, I mean, what kind of work did you lay out?
Well, to be honest, we didn't really do much preparation. I mainly just went over like what maps we wanted to play and stuff with them and what they've played in the past and we know they're comfortable on. I mean, our main preparation is for this weekend, so.
Yeah, you always have to be ready for that. Chalet, though, you speak about the maps. What goes into choosing that as your pick?
Well, I mean, we had a sub in, so we didn't really like have any plans, I guess you could say, so we just wanted to take him to a frag heavy map like Chalet and run around, and that's pretty much what we did.
I mean, yeah, Max performed, I think, as good as you could ask him to. He was getting the picks that were important in rounds, and we saw multiple moments where it looked like things could go either way, but Max stepped up for his team. Jonah, I'll let you go ahead and lay out any questions.
Well, one thing that was definitely apparent, at least on Villa, was the more creative strategies. Let's just put it at that. From definitely D2E, but you guys, threw a little bit of a mix in there as well. And of course, some of those decisions are on the fly. But, what happens when you come across more creative setups? And is there one member on your team more than others who, has that IGL role and calls those adaptations to change things around?
Well, I mean, the thing about our team is that, like, we have a lot of depth, so, like, everybody can make calls. I mean, TPA is very good at making calls, Faded's good at making calls, so, I mean, TPA is up front on the entry, like, seeing the most, so he definitely makes the most calls of adaptions and whatnot. He's very good at it.
Well, that is great to hear. I don't have much more about this particular series, but I'd love to talk to you guys about, SCS going forward. And, we're coming up on the playoffs. And next week, you've probably got another tough match, out for you guys. And you're going into the playoffs the week after. Obviously, Team Mystic being in this group, it hasn't been the easiest for anybody, but what do you think your overall chances are going into the playoffs? How far do you hope to go?
I mean, of course we have high expectations for every match we play. I mean, we couldn't really tell you right now, but like I said, we have high expectations as always.
All right, well, that's good to hear. Stick, you got anything else for him?
Yeah, just kind of wanted to ask, any thoughts going ahead towards relegations next week? Anything that you can say personally, or any comments?
Well, I don't know. To be honest, I don't really want to say anything too much, but I mean, we treat every team we play equally, so it should be a fun game to watch.
Good mentality to step forward with. We hope to see you perform well in regulation. But again, Rob, congrats on your team's win. Thank you for allowing us to have a nice cast on Chalet. Go celebrate with the rest of your team, and have a good night, man.
Thank you.
Well then, Jonah, that about wraps things up for the first map. We're going to go jump over overall to look at the complete statistics that we saw between both of these two maps. I'm curious to see where Bone lands at, considering he went crazy. I wonder what the math is as far as their 1.33 KPR. Across both maps, that's tremendous. I mean, not even Smoke Break for Max Illy, who went +8 in the KD differential, was able to scratch above a 1.10.
Yeah, that is definitely, I think, indicative of how Bone was feeling today. Clearly playing at the top of his game. Cost as well, 70%, headshot percent. Not the best out there. The Boss G in hand definitely makes that one a bit of a challenge, no doubt. But, I mean, overall, just playing out of their minds. On the side of Smoke Break, everyone really stepping up rating-wise. And Faded with a 50% survivability, definitely being that clutch player in those last few moments, as actually came up quite a bit on both maps, particularly on Villa after the early aggression from D2E. A player like Faded and a player like Twizzler, those were your last two players remaining in the rounds just to clutch it up, and they did an excellent job of doing so, indicated in the stats by both their survivability, cost, and their rating overall. But really great to see all these players getting into their element, especially to see Maxily adapt to this roster so well. We did see a good bit of objective play. Well, let's say a little bit of objective play between the two maps on both Chalet and Villa. About 4 or 5 plants combined between the two teams. But for the most part, it was a frag-heavy game, as I think Rob just perfectly described.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of gunning going down, and I think Smoke Break did the best work that they could to combine the fragging and also still playing sensibly. Knowing when it was time to frag is a huge thing to have in your corner, and we all know how much of a struggle it can be to try and lasso timing and get it on your side in Siege, and I'm really looking forward to see how Smoke Break can perform. If this is what they're capable of in bringing a sub to the field, I'm really interested to see what they'll be able to look forward to moving forward. And I was hoping that Ferme could bring up the leaderboards so we could get kind of more of an idea about where this result puts Smoke Break. I think I looked quickly on Liquipedia. Smoke Break are currently in second for their group, which is a huge jump. And you mentioned earlier that was the possibility of a win coming out today. But obviously, with more matches to be played later in the week, there is still an opportunity for Smoke Break to see some adjustment. That Mystic game next week, though, for D2A, I have a feeling it's going to be more of the same that we saw on Villa today. You're going to have a tough time pulling the Boss G out like Bone did against Team Mystic. As far as Smoke Break are concerned, we obviously want to see if they're going to be able to make it forward to playoffs. They're going up against No Plants, who are kind of in a similar point of view. Here's the statistics rolling on out. Smoke Break in number 2, 14 points. Awfully close to Team Mystic there.
Yeah, incredible what 1 week can get you. With 6 points on the board, Smoke Break getting 5 today, it jumped them straight up from 4th to 2nd. I mean, that's exactly what they were looking for. Job well done to them. But of course, you've got to keep in mind that Ariel, No Plants, Nemesis as well, they've all got their games to play, so they could quickly jump up ahead of Smoke Break. But they have done their job. They have secured another dub, and they will be moving forward to the playoffs. Not 100% guaranteed here, but pretty likely at this point. Even though they've got a challenging conference or the challenging group, they've done an excellent job of making it happen so far. But for the first series of the night, that is going to do it. We got another one coming up, and we're going to replace ourselves here with Crow and with Jazzman. Just, that is going to be thrilling to watch, so tune in for that. But for myself, for Sticula, for everyone in the production booth, thank you for tuning on in. We'll see you in just a few moments.